Larry Show.
Hey everybody, it's Ike and Mr.
Larry
Lawson, published author, famous man, I'll tell you what. Episode number 14. Thanks for watching the last couple episodes. I thought they were pretty good. I don't know about you all. We were talking about cults and what crazy cults to do. We're going to talk some more about cults. And the episode prior to that, we were talking about shadow people. So I don't know how you people can't be listening to these shows. I think they're freaking awesome. I myself re-listen to them when I go out jogging because I'm so impressed with myself and Mr. Larry. Right.
Okay, we won't even go there. We won't even go there.
What's new in the Larry world?
What's new in the Larry world? Well, just doing some stuff with the book, which is kind of fun. I'm kind of finding that interesting and enjoyable. Getting to talk to a lot of folks. You know, the best part about writing the book, though, and I didn't really want to talk about this, but is you get people that come to you and say, you know, I've lived here all my life and I never knew that. I never knew that. I never knew this bit of history. To me, that's really been a very positive thing for this whole adventure that I've entered into, and it's been fun. I'm enjoying it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Got some stuff going with our friend Chris out there in England right now.
Hello, Chris.
So he's a listener also, so he'll be popping in on the show.
Hold on, a little noise here. Not sponsored.
I was going to say little early for that because I know that's not what's in there.
Probably not. Yeah. You never know. It's 5 o'clock always in New Mexico. And in England where Chris is at because it's always cloudy and raining. So you really don't know what the hell time it is over there.
Well, it's I'll be heading over there. I'm heading over there myself in August. So heading to Scotland. Well, actually flying into London, going to York.
Don't fly on a Boeing. We're gonna have a lot of problems with it.
I think it's actually an Airbus that we're all heading over on.
Yeah,
but
don't sit by the back door. Keep your seatbelt on.
So anyway, that's my world right now. How about yours?
Anyway, Larry's book is awesome. Hold on a second. Stand by. I like to put this out there because I don't know many people that are published authors. See that? See that? Look, wait. Scanning down. If you want this book, go to Larry's website and order it. It's a little bit cheaper. And he ships it out really, really quick. And he can autograph it or leave some kind of DNA on it for you if that's what you require. That's a little weird. Or you can go to Amazon and order it through Amazon, which is really easy. You just click and buy it. So when I meant DNA, I mean, you know, maybe you're Larry Stalker or something. You want a hair follicle.
No, let's just
so you can clone. You can clone him. I'm saying he might be worth your cloning.
Nah.
You never know.
Thank you for the promo.
What's new in my world? Everything's breaking. My car's breaking. I'm just spending money on everything here lately.
Huh.
Luckily, I'm mechanically inclined. I can fix everything myself.
Well, you make so much money off this show, though. I mean,
Shit, I make so much money off this show. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much money I make off this show. I had to start a new bank account.
We do not do this for financial gain, folks. We do it just to visit with you and talk.
Exactly. There's if you ever looked into how people make money on YouTube, it's not easy. You need to have millions and millions and millions of subscribers, and then it becomes a job.
Aren't we close to having millions of subscribers at this point? There.
Yeah, if you mean 300 being close to a million, that's probably right.
Yeah. Well, it's 300 people. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and there's a few hardcore watchers that consistently watch our shows all the way to the end. Probably don't have a life, but
Gary
Ranson,
our friend, and we got a lot of international folks. Gary Ranson in the Isle of Wight in southern England. Hi, Gary.
Yeah. Hey, Gary, if you're listening to this one, when you leave comments, put a timestamp on there so we know what are you commenting about. Because you leave a comment and I have no idea what the heck you're talking about on what part of the video.
Well, you never know what you're talking about.
Usually not. But when he says, yes, you are right to something we said, I have no idea. It will most likely something that I said. They couldn't have said it what you said. I mean, that's very seldom happens.
True.
Just saying, I'm just pointing out the obvious sometimes. It was a lovely 23 degrees here in the high desert of New Mexico this morning. Can you imagine 23 degrees? You probably haven't seen 23 degrees in ever.
I haven't. We didn't see it. We didn't see it at all. Most of the time we get a 1 or 2 freezes in the winter down here, but we didn't get anything. Right now, it is partly cloudy and 86 balmy degrees here in Vero Beach, Florida, and looks like we got a storm cell coming through in the next.
Yeah, it looks like you guys got a big one coming.
Yeah,
I sent it your way.
Did you? Okay.
We're in the 50s now, probably. It warms up fairly quick. First thing in the morning, it's still freezing really hard, but days are getting up to mid 60s now. So I think it's finally the end of the freaking winter. It's a good thing.
But I'll tell you what, I love the view from the porch at the big house that I stayed in, and just sitting on that porch and looking out just on the New Mexican landscape. I tell you what, it's a beautiful state, folks. He'll complain and moan, but New Mexico, what an intriguing place.
It's always prettier somewhere else. I was thinking if I was in Florida right now, I'd probably own a sailboat and take up sailing, in the bays. I wouldn't want to go out on the big waters, but on all these big ass lakes and waters you have, that's what I'd be doing. I'd do a lot of fishing, drinking a lot of mojitos, learn Cuban dancing. I like Cuban music. There'd be so much stuff I could do without freezing and having to wear thermal underwear all year long.
Yeah, that's true. Now you see, you're doing the same thing that folks do in New York. You could be from upstate New York, but you say you're from New York, and automatically you're categorized into the folks from New York City. We are so far north of Miami, we don't have any Cuban influence up here.
None.
Not a lot. Not a lot. We do have some Caribbean influence. The Bahamas are just off our shores here, but probably more than that.
Well, you're a lot closer to Cuban music. You're closer to Cuban music and food than I am.
Well, this is true. This is true. In fact, we are closer, and we do see some of the influence of some of the Cuban culture up here, but it's just not the same as being in Miami. Miami, that's Cuban culture, and it's especially Cuban coffee. Muy bueno. It's good stuff.
And cigars, if you smoke cigars.
I don't, but yeah, those that do enjoy.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff in Florida. I think I'd get tired of the heat after a while, because I get tired of the heat here in New Mexico in the middle of the summer, and it doesn't even get that hot here.
Last summer I've been in Florida since 1977, and last summer was the absolute worst summer I have ever experienced in this state. It was unbelievable. It was almost like the gods had decided to punish us. It was unbelievably hot for months on end, humid. And here you get 98 degrees and you get probably 95% humidity at the same time. And it can be rough. It can be
climate change is a real thing. We had last spring, we had, I think, 11 days where it was over 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Unheard of where I live. The average summer temperature up here is maybe 88, 89, because we're so high. We're a mile high. It just doesn't get that hot where I live. Mm-hmm. And last year, 11 days over 100 degrees. I'm like, what the heck is going on? We have species of animals moving out here that we've never had before. Different type of doves that live down the Mexican border are living up here at my house now. Even they're immigrating. Probably illegally. They're probably flying over the wall. But there's all kinds of weird crap coming up this way that usually doesn't live here. Native trees are dying. It's too hot for them.
Wow.
I don't know what to do. Well, go underground. Hollow Earth theory. They're in there. Hey, if the Earth is flat, how are we going to have a hollow Earth? Would you fall out the bottom?
Yeah,
that would suck. That would not be a good day.
No, it would not. It would not. How many people do you think out there really look at the theory of either a hollow Earth or flat Earth? What percentage of the population do you think?
I think it's low, but they're out there. I mean, the hollow Earth theory goes back a long ways. There's a hollow moon theory. Have you ever heard of that?
I have.
Where something crashed on the moon and it rang like a bell. I mean,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
vibrated and resonated, kind of like it was hollow.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and
It
that's
was
actually by NASA. NASA actually said that. That's not something
yeah.
somebody on Facebook said. I mean, actually, NASA said it was an unusual, resonating hollow sound coming off of the
Well,
moon.
and what's interesting is, you still see a lot of folks that get on the NASA website and they will find structures on the top of the moon that they are convinced are buildings or structures, especially I think on the far side, um, indicating that maybe the moon is not just a moon, but maybe a working
Well, the backside of the moon is pretty much unexplored.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
dark. We
yeah.
only
Uh-huh.
we only see one side of the moon all the time.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going
Yeah.
on in the
So
back.
speaking of the moon, did you guys have much of a thing with the eclipse? Did you see it?
We only had, I think, 50% or 60% here,
Yeah,
which
we were about
made it just
40.
kind of like a cloudy day. I was out there. I was looking at it, with my bare naked eyes. Of course not, but no, I was looking at it, and it was kind of cool to see. I've seen it before, but
Mhm,
just barely, not even twilight. Just kind of like a cloudy day. That's as dark as it got.
mhm. Yeah,
Nothing
that's about
unusual.
what it was here. But amazing how many people said, "End of the earth, end of
Oh God,
times."
zombie apocalypse, all that
That's
stuff.
real. That's real. Don't make jokes about the zombie apocalypse.
Those are just old New Yorkers at Walmart in Florida. Those aren't zombies. We'll always come back to that. Just modern medication keeping them alive. They should have died 15 years ago, but it's just medicine.
Isn't it amazing that even in modern times today, there are people out there that will take these natural events and automatically find a way to connect it to prophecy that the world is coming to an
Yeah.
end.
Yep.
And it's just amazing we still have that.
I
So
don't think I don't think it'll ever change. I think people
why?
always have to believe in something. It's fun to believe in that.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's my
there's
stomach.
is that what that was? I thought it
Yeah.
was maybe
I've been doing the keto diet. Not to get off topic real quick for the last couple of days, and I'm hungry.
working. Is it working?
No, I'm just hungry all the time.
Oh, yeah. Just
But anyway,
I'm
yeah,
on I'm on the seafood diet.
you see it, you eat it.
Exactly.
It
Okay.
shows.
Yeah.
Don't verbally
I
joust with
wa-
me, sir. You may be a
I
published
walked right
you
into
may be a published author, but bring it. No, people always believe in weird stuff. The
yeah.
eclipse has always probably been a top one because
Hmm.
it's kind of unique. I mean, it gets dark every night. I don't know what the big deal is.
Well, I think it's it's a cultural thing and it's also a religious thing, and it just goes back to when people can't explain a natural event, they immediately look for the supernatural. They immediately look for something with religious connotations. Oh, the gods must be upset that we've done something, and it's they're eating the sun, and that will cause our crops to die, or something along those lines. And it's really, really, really amazing, when we can't explain something, as a people, I'm going back centuries. I'm not necessarily talking about today, but we've always gone back to there's a supernatural reason for it, and we're being punished. We're being uh, uh, given
Right.
rewards for what we're doing. There's always something connected to that, and I guess it's just human nature.
And we cling to the old and to the past. We
Oh yeah.
started doing that long ago. I mean, hence Christmas. There's a reason Christmas is right at the winter solstice. There's a
Hmm.
reason Easter's at the spring equinox. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
there's no absolute proof that
Absolutely.
Jesus was risen on Easter. It was a pagan holiday, and it was a good time for the
Yep.
Romans to say, "Well, keep celebrating. We'll just put something else to it."
Well,
Because think about it. What does the Easter bunny and Easter eggs have to do with the rising of Jesus?
it's all because of the spring coming, the spring equinox and new life. The sun's
Right.
come back out, winter is over, so it all has something to do. And certainly the connotation is the new life. Jesus has risen rather, and therefore there's new life for you. And
That's
I
a good
think
day.
that's, yeah. So, I mean,
Because
that it's all,
Easter comes from Esther, which was a Nordic goddess of spring,
mhm,
hence Easter Esther. Easter eggs, like you said, beginning of life.
mhm, mhm.
Rabbits, you know what rabbits do? You know, they produce like rabbits for a reason. It's
Yeah,
the beginning of
yeah.
new life.
Mhm.
And the same applies to Christmas. What does a Christmas tree have to do with anything that happened in Bethlehem where they have ever never seen snow? You know,
Yeah,
there's no Christmas over there, snow Christmas.
yeah.
It's a
Snow,
winter holiday. The sun was coming
snow
back.
Christmas. Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
on the 21st, the sun hits its furthest reach in the south, and it takes about 2 to 3 days to wobble around back there before it starts coming back. And when it
Mhm.
comes back, that was a reason to celebrate because you never were
Yep.
quite sure if it was coming back or not back in
Yeah.
those days.
So it's just interesting how people will manipulate those events, give it religious connotations. I think that's kind of where kind of one of the things we wanted to talk about today was how people used religion to explain things, but also at times to get what they want.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
when we see a lot of that in little things like you were talking about the Cuban population here and the influence of Cuba here in Florida. Um, we have a religion down in Miami that's very, very famous, very, very well documented, Santeria. And that is a religion that was born mostly out of the Caribbean, but it was a combination of Yoruba African religions combined with Catholicism. And the folks back in those days combined the two to create a religion that helped them understand and deal with things. And that's why in Santeria, in particularly, all of the gods uh, all of the gods are called are pictured by using Catholic saints, for example. The table of Ifa is a perfect example of that, and it just shows all the gods in the Santeria Parthenon, if you will. That's not the word they use, but that's the word I will use. All are Catholic saints.
Hmm.
And a lot of the what we call the Afro-Caribbean cults are like that. It's really, really fascinating how folks put the two religions together from their homeland, where they were unfortunately enslaved and brought it into the Caribbean countries. And then you had in this particular case, the Spanish Catholic priests trying to convert them to Catholicism. And on the outside, they did. The folks, oh yeah, sure, we'll go to mass and all this stuff. But when they were home, they combined it with their ancient religion from the Yoruba people in particular, and it became Santeria. Voodoo is the same way.
Hmm.
Voodoo came from the same way, but that was mostly in Haiti, with French priests trying to convert the uh, folks that were there, and it became a lot of that became voodoo. And all of them have different meanings, and all of them can do different things. It's just, like I said, interesting how people can adjust all of this to meet their needs. Did I bore
Yes.
you?
No. What? No, that's
You look
very
like you were
fascinating.
sleeping there. Uh,
No, my eyes were open. Hello.
uh-huh.
Now I was just thinking it's very similar out in the Southwest with the Native Americans. You know,
Mhm.
not only the Hispanic population, but the Native Americans. I mean, look what happened to those guys. They were rounded up, forced to become Christian under penalty of beatings, and they weren't
Yeah.
allowed to speak their
Mhm.
national language or their language, not their national language. They were sent to American schools to be Christianized
Mm.
and speak English, and they'd go home and still practice their native traditions. But when they were gone, they'd have to be Christianized. So it was same thing. There's kind of a mixed breed. When you talk to natives out here, it's a mixed bag. Some of them are totally 100% in Christians. That's it. They don't want nothing to do with the native world anymore. Of course, it's many generations afterwards. But then there's still
Mm.
a good population of natives out there that completely practice their beliefs that they've practiced for thousands of years and just stick with it.
Mhm. Eh, and why? I mean, why? The why,
Yeah,
I guess, that's coming to my mind is why did we feel we had to change everybody? And I know the answer to that.
I do
The
too.
the the Catholic belief was that we must
Well,
save everybody from themselves and
Christian
also be
belief
controlled.
back in those days were anybody who wasn't necessarily from that neck of the woods was probably not one of God's children, and therefore not human, because natives were always considered soulless people. They were savages. Didn't have souls. That's why you could indiscriminately kill natives and have no guilty conscience about it. The same applied to slaves and black people early on. They were soulless vessels. That's why you could buy them and sell them and barter them and trade them and suffer no consequences. So then eventually some priest with a guilty conscience says, well, they might be humans and they may have souls. They just need to be saved. Then they started forcing Christianity on them. If you accepted Jesus as your savior in that particular religion, now you're a human. Now you can hang out with us to some degree.
Yep, but then they go back home and they practice what they're used to. And
tradition. Go back to your roots. I think everybody would do that.
And that's what happened. I mean, Santeria is practiced in the Cuban community still today, and is still very popular. They call a priest what the priest is called a santero, and they continue to practice what they believe to be, in a sense, white magic, and that's my term, not theirs. But the practice of Santeria does include the killing of animals, sacrificing of animals. I won't say killing, but the sacrificing. And in fact, in Dade County, which is Miami, that was actually approved. If the animal was being killed for religious ceremony, it is okay to do that. And it was a big deal back in I want to say late 80s, early 90s, but they actually passed laws saying it could happen. But the practice of Santeria was generally good. I mean, it was supposed to bring good blessings. And then you got the side, because humans are funny, Ike, and I know you'll agree with me being a cop. Man, you give them an opportunity to kind of get an advantage or something like that, and they'll start switching things around. And then that's where you started getting offshoots of these religions that allowed priests to almost create their own cults, if you will. And it created the dark side of religions. Not so much Abaqual, but Brujeria, Palomeombe are all the dark sides of those religions, where a lot of times they take their gods are also in the form of Catholic deities or Catholic saints, but you don't take care of them, you don't do what they say, bad things happen. Or if the priest wants something bad to happen to somebody, they have ways to make that occur. So it's just amazing how that all happened. And one thing, and I don't know so much about your neck of the woods, but in Florida, with all the influence we have from the Caribbean, it's absolutely amazing the different religious beliefs that we have down here, and you very rarely hear about it.
More importantly, is it Caribbean or Caribbean? As a Floridian, we need to know. You should know the exact answer.
I think I
don't know.
Say Caribbean. I say Caribbean. Yeah.
Just curious, because you hear people say it both ways.
Well, I'm from Ohio too, so that kind of
explains a lot.
That may influence.
But look where these local people learned this from. Going back to particularly the popes and the Catholics, the Crusades. What were they doing during the Crusades? For hundreds of years, they were slaughtering people all across Europe, all across the world, basically, almost. Except their religion or die. They were masters at torture. I mean, they had some of the most fascinating torture devices. They would label you a witch.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know that we grew out of that until we hit almost the 1800s totally, because they were still, the Salem witch trials back, that was the 1600s, I believe, though. But still, it took a while for the Christian religion to sort of grow out of that, for lack of a better term.
Dude, I remember reading something. I'm gonna have to look this up, but there was the last New Mexico female that was accused of being a witch by the church it's like in the early 1900s sometime, I believe.
Really? Well, there's and you're going to have somebody doing something weird. I mean, we still have people in certain parts of the country worshiping snakes. So I mean, you're going to have something somewhere.
Yeah, but the Bible tells you pick up snakes, pick up serpents. So that's just another interpretation of the book. There was there's a Baptist offshoot that handles snakes.
That's what I'm referring to. That's the one I'm referring to. And oh God, it hadn't been all that long ago that they had one of their preachers get bit enough times it killed him. So
it didn't take it serious the first 3 times.
Well, they don't use garter snakes. They don't use garter snakes.
No, they use copperheads and stuff. Yeah. Well, your snake was just playing. He didn't mean to bite me. I ran into his fangs. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Uh,
Well,
but
homie, don't play with
yeah,
snakes. I mean, I don't hate them or anything, but I have a lot of respect for snakes.
but once again, whenever man gets involved, things get perverted. I'm sorry. In one way, sometimes it's for the good of, a lot of times it's for the benefit of the person coming up with the idea.
You know,
But
the speaking of snakes, really just random thoughts firing through my brain, but the medical sign, the doctor sign, the two snakes wrapped around the staff.
mm,
You know, snakes have an important role throughout history, especially in the Christian world.
yeah, yeah, you're 100% right. Especially what happened in the old Garden of Eden.
Oh yeah, yeah, that damn
Mhm.
talking snake.
Yeah, dang, talking snakes.
You know, a real
So
quick, funny sidebar on this snake topic. So, Gold Country, where you were at with me that
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
So, me and my daughter Christina are out there driving around, and it's probably like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a pretty good sized snake. He's probably about 4.5, 5 feet long. And he's bright pink. Pink as pink can be. I slam on the brake, jump out with my GoPro, and try to turn it on. In the meantime, the snake slithers underneath a bunch of rocks. And I'm sitting there looking at these rocks. I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen a pink snake in my life. I mean, what the hell was it?
Uh-huh. I'm seeing a joke coming here for some
No, there's
reason.
no joke at all. And I actually got a picture of it with my cell phone as it was slithering away because I had the GoPro in one hand and my cell phone in the other. And I
Yeah.
look it up. And to that area right there, the, where the gold area is, going a little bit north, is a indigenous unique snake that's pink. And it's a bull snake type breed, so it's like a king snake.
Okay.
I couldn't tell if it had spots or zigzags on it, but it was literally bright pink. And it's unique to that area.
You sure you didn't,
Hmm?
tap into the moonshine a little bit there?
I didn't, I ate some mushrooms, but besides that,
Oh, well, that's
no,
not
really,
that's
there's a pink snake that's unique to that area. I'll send you a picture of that sucker. I'm
you're
like,
gonna
wow.
have to. You did. I might add, I think we talked about it last week when we were talking about cults. Ike was right. He sent me proof that uh, Utah did decriminalize polygamy. So I want to give you kudos.
Isn't that
So
nice?
yeah,
Just kind of devalues women, doesn't it? Like they have no say so. It's like,
yeah,
come on, women. Shut up. Get in the kitchen and cook. Have some more babies.
yeah. I still don't get it, but that's a different story for a different day. But anyway,
Yeah, well,
so getting back to some of our cult type stuff, I wanted to also talk a little bit about the misconception and of Wiccans and witches. Did we want to talk about that at all?
no, no, no. I've known quite a few Wiccans in my days.
Well, a lot of folks don't really understand what they are. I used to actually in my cults and deviant groups class that I taught to cops years ago, I actually had the ability to, or the opportunity, I should say, to bring in some Wiccans to talk to cops to say, look, we're not Satanists. We're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Satanists. We are Earth. It's an Earth-based religion based upon a lot of it on the ancient beliefs of pagans back in the Celtic days and whatnot.
It's really all
And
it is.
yeah, and it's interesting because so many people immediately look at a Wiccan as a Satanist, and they're just not the same. There can be witches or people labeled as witches that practice darker arts, but Wiccans aren't. But the thing I find it most interesting about Wiccans, and you've got oh gosh, the different types. There's Alexandrian witches or Wiccans, and they're all Alexandrian Wiccans. Oh my gosh, some of the names just went right out of my head. But they're different sects that have different beliefs. But generally speaking, you'll find them, they just do their own thing and they don't have a very strict guideline or tenets
The,
of the religion.
their biggest tenets is first, do no harm, and the threefold rule. You know, if you do harm,
Mhm.
it'll come back 3 times worse to you. That's they
Right.
always told me. And to me, it was just like a giant hippie cult, really. I mean, they were just like, they love every freaking thing. I mean, they love trees, they love
Yeah.
the earth, they love ground grass, all that stuff.
hmm
So I didn't
hmm
see any harm in them. They just had a different set of beliefs.
Guardian, that's another sect are the Guardian Wiccans, and all go back to people that were leaders of that certain sect or belief of Wiccan back in the day. But yeah, it's interesting that folks get the wrong impression. And you know what? Who are we to judge? I'm a Christian. I admit that. And not my place to judge.
Nope.
Yeah, that's I got a boss that judges, not me.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting how people take things. And man, if you don't believe, and there's a lot of different religions, we won't even go at naming any, but you don't believe what I believe, you're going to pay for this because
Yeah.
you either believe what I believe or else, and that's
Tribal.
just not right.
Just
It's just
tribalism.
not right. Yeah.
I think Wiccans get a bad rep because of some of their insignia, because of pentagram, and immediately they think pentagram, they think Satanism, but the pentagram's everywhere. It's in all kinds of books and it's in all kinds of religions, and it's, my sheriff's
Right.
badge was a damn pentagram. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah, you're. I guess you got a point there. Yeah, and it all points to sun, fire, all the different elements, but it's the inverted pentagram that's
Hmm.
satanic in nature. And if you flip it over, it's said to resemble what they call the Baphomet, which is the goat-headed
Hmm.
man, which is the symbol of Satan. And none of that would have came into play had Anton LaVey in the 1960s not built it up. Now, that I'm not saying it wasn't there before, but it was Anton LaVey that made this stuff popular, for lack of a better
Hmm.
word. Um, so, it's once again, it's people using, and I don't mind if it's sacrilege or not. Sorry, folks, if you're Satanist, I don't mean to insult you, but it's just a fact that I'm sorry, Michael Aquino's another guy, but Anton LaVey built the Church of Satan to make a buck and be popular. Period. That's
Just like
what he
any
did.
religion.
That's what he did. But see that with Anton LaVey, it was an anti-religion because everything that was considered proper and right in the Christian faith, particularly Catholicism, Satanism was the opposite. So it gave you the permission to do everything that you do. And you and I both know as a cop, you give a nutcase the slightest permission to do what they want because it's in my religious belief or whatever, they'll do it and
You
think
can't
they're
have
justified.
you can't have Satanism unless you believe in God. It goes hand in hand with Christianity.
LaVey
So
actually says that.
that
In
was a
fact,
good that was a good business model.
LaVey made the comment was that he appreciates the Christian church because it's the best friend the Satanist ever had. Because, like
Yeah.
you said, if it wasn't for the Christian church, it wouldn't exist. In fact, going to go back into a little bit of history. There was a religion, a Persian religion called Zoroastrianism, and that particular religion was the first time you really had a dualist religion where you had a good entity and a bad entity. And oh gosh, it was BC. I'm trying to go into my history now, but when
You were there. Come on.
oh, I was there, but it's just so long ago I can't remember. Oh gosh, the history is just went right out of my head. But the fall of an area in Persia caused Zoroastrianism to be kind of almost picked up by folks that were in the burgeoning Christian religion, and that's where things became dualist almost. At least Zoroastrianism is given the credit for that.
Hmm.
So it's just interesting how people have changed things over the years. But Satanism. Now, there's a guy I got to talk about him too. A guy named Michael Aquino. Are you familiar with that name?
No.
Michael Aquino is an interesting sort. I do believe he might even still be alive. Michael Aquino was an army officer in Vietnam, and he was a psyops officer. And and I'm sure I'm this somewhat literary license, but just he was probably one of these guys that went into North Vietnam and snatched a few people and brought them back to chat with them in private, if you get my drift. But he was involved in psyops operations and was a real intellect. Michael Aquino is a real intellect. And he ended up coming back to the States after his time overseas. And he was looking for something a little bit different. And he became connected to Anton LaVey, and he became a follower of Anton LaVey to the point where I think he was almost like his second in command. But then they had a split, and the split was simply this: Michael Aquino was a serious student of the occult, serious student. Anton LaVey was a carnival huckster, period. And they kind of split their ways. Now, there may be some debate on this, but this is generally how it's viewed. And Michael Aquino created the Temple of Set, which was a serious study into the world of Satanism and all of its tenets and all of its beliefs. So Anton LaVey went about his thing, and Michael Aquino split and did his thing. Now, Michael Aquino stayed in the Army this entire time. And I think he rose the rank of lieutenant colonel. Maybe he even got full bird colonel, made full bird colonel. But he was one of his last assignments, if not his last assignment, was the Presidio in San Francisco. And he continued his work with the Temple of Set there. I mean, the Army's not going to say anything. He's not impacting his service at all. But during that time, and this is where a lot of the stuff in the late 80s and early 90s really got fueled, Michael Aquino was accused by a family whose young child was going to a daycare on the base. Young child had problems, and I'm not sitting here testifying to the veracity of these statements. I'm just telling you what happened because nobody was ever charged with this, so I'm just telling you what happened. But this little kid pointed to Michael Aquino, I want to think, in the PX and said, "That's the man that hurt me." Next thing you know, they started investigating his religious beliefs and the kid being ritually abused. This is where one of the early accusations of ritual abuse occurred. So you can see how that whole tale just went along. And now he was never accused. He was accused, but he was never tried, convicted, or even charged with anything. So I want to make that perfectly clear. But it does go to show you just how far these religions can reach out and touch folks in general.
They all do. Every single religion, whether it's a legit Christian or some kind of offshoot. I mean, look at all the the Wiccan stuff back. Some of the stuff that ordinary people do that could be construed as witchcraft 400 years ago. Huh? Hanging your horseshoe up. Don't walk under ladders. The evil eye. Certain hand gestures. Don't do this or don't do that. I mean, I think I may have told this story once, probably in one of my earlier episodes, but living back in Germany when we were really young, my oldest sister, Kathy, had some kind of weird wart growing on the top of her hand. I don't know what the hell it was. She was like probably 14 years old. And my grandma, who was as German can get, and as old as probably Father Time, shows up and she tells my sister this recipe on how to get rid of this wart. And she tells my sister, take a lock of hair, and they actually cut a chunk of her hair, tie a knot in the hair. As many warts as you have, that's as many knots you make. She had one wart on her hand, so she made one knot and buried it in a moist place on a full moon night outside in the yard somewhere. And even back then, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, I'm like, my grandma's a witch. What kind of shit is this? Why don't we just go to a doctor and put some cream on there?
And this is Germany, right?
Yeah, that was a folk remedy, folk medicine, which probably had very little to do with actual medicine, but much more in the power of belief and just rituals. There was some kind of home remedy ritual that probably my grandma learned from her grandma and many generations back.
I got to ask the question, did she lose the wart?
I don't remember. I really don't remember.
But
I know she did that, but I don't know if it was a wart or if it's just like a boil or a pimple. It probably just gone away by itself anyway. So I don't know if that worked or not. But just the idea that grandma would show up, in the probably like 1971, 72, and come up with this off the wall freaking remedy to how to get rid of a wart. I'm like, what were people thinking back then? They were much more involved in paganism and ritualism, even though they're devout Catholics. Some people, for some reason, think that all of Germany is like Baptist or something. I don't know, but the majority of Germans are all Catholic. The town I lived in, 98% Catholic.
Well, wasn't the Lutheran Church rather big in Germany?
They became much bigger over here in the United States than over there. Now, northern Germany, I don't know if it's different over there because it's a long ways away from where I lived. But I was in Bavaria, the southern part near the mountains. It's all a freaking Catholic. There was a few evangelists and there was a lot, even back then, there was a huge influx of immigrants, especially from Turkey. And so there was a lot
Mhm,
of Turkish people and so a lot of Muslims. And
mhm.
we were getting our first taste of the Muslim religion while we were living there. Like, who are these people? Why are they all covering up their heads and stuff like that? But other than that, they're pretty much all Catholics.
Interesting,
And
interesting.
their churches, their services are always in Latin.
Mhm,
The priests all spoke Latin, which none of us
mhm,
understood. That was the power of the priest, by the way, back in 1300s, 1200s. The priest was the only person that could probably read in the entire community. So that made him a hero to begin with. And then
mhm,
he's speaking in a foreign tongue.
mhm.
And it's very impressive. I mean, you're like, hey, this guy's a genius. Kind of like people look at me now.
Well,
Oh, whatever. But yeah, that was weird,
so,
grandma doing that.
but once again, I can't help but think she tied the hair to get rid of the one into one knot to get rid of the wart. Power of the brain. Once again, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about a show or two ago, the ability of the human mind to convince us or to have things happen. I mean, you're right. Maybe it was just a pimple that was in her hand, but if it was a wart and it went away, obviously tying the knot into a piece of hair and burying it wasn't what did it. So was it the power of their own brain to heal themselves?
Placebo effect.
Well, placebo effect, or is it just the
Your brain's fixing it.
untapped power, the untapped power of our own brain? I think we've talked about that a couple of times. And once again, maybe you go back to some of these pagan religions, Wiccan, maybe magic spells are nothing more than the power of the brain.
I'm sure. I
So,
would tend to believe. Because you think about it, my grandma, she was probably in her mid 70s or so when she said
mhm,
this. And it makes you wonder who taught her. Was she a little girl? Picture her seven
mhm,
years prior to that, sometime in the early 1800s, and her mom telling her, take a hair and tie a knot in it, or her grandma. How far back
mhm,
does this really reach? It's
mhm.
crazy.
Yeah, it does, and it just shows you. We've got. I, I've been thinking about this ever since you brought it up. I got to be honest with you, and it doesn't really go into the somewhat little bit of cult topic we're having today, but it does go back to the power of us as humans. But I keep going back to the talk and ley lines and the power of the earth, and maybe, and I thought and this kills me to say this, I might add, but you brilliantly brought up that perhaps our return to being part of the land, being part of our atmosphere. I don't mean space, but I mean our atmosphere here, being part of what we are and not adding all this modern world into our thinking and our beliefs. If we just got back to the basics, maybe that would solve so many of our problems.
It would be a much more peaceful place for sure.
Peaceful, that's one part of it, but also
There's
would it be healthier?
100%. There's nothing to be lost there. That probably goes without saying. There are too many people that are involved in day-to-day mundane, tied to their computers, tied to their work. They have this ideology: the more jobs I have, the more of a hero I am to my kids. My daddy worked 3 jobs to feed you. I'm like, well, he was an idiot. You should have found one job that paid more. You need to have this attitude, like, get out. There's too much hostility in this world now, especially in America. America is so divided. There's people running around wishing for civil war. I'm like, are you a freaking idiot? You really want to kill your own kind of
Oh,
people? We're all freaking brothers and sisters. We're Americans. You really want to
well,
take up arms and kill one of your own people? Are you stupid?
I'm I'm going to say something now that I've wanted to say and I've put it off, and this is totally off subject. But
I love you too.
folks,
Oh, that wasn't it. Sorry. My bad.
regardless of where your ancestors came from, regardless of what language your grandparents spoke, if you live in this country, you are an American with terrific, wonderful backgrounds, whether it be German, Irish, English,
Exactly.
Indian, but you are an American. And Americans have to stick together. That doesn't mean we got to agree all the time. That doesn't mean we cannot have healthy debate, but you're an American first.
And that's what makes America great.
Exactly. But then
Because
I
of
hear,
because of that.
and now I'm going to really, but then you hear people saying death to America on our own shores.
Yeah. I don't know who these people are.
Okay, it's free speech is free speech. I can't deny that. But we're all Americans, folks. We're Americans first.
Yeah.
And we can practice our beliefs from our native country, whether it's what other country it is, and that's fine. Don't forget your roots. But remember, folks, we're Americans first, and we got to stay together. Settle our differences peacefully with civil language.
It's like I
But
always
we're
said,
Americans first.
a good old-fashioned alien invasion would solve all our problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my soapbox.
Some
I'm sorry.
spaceship hovering above the United States, everybody'd be on the same ship now. They're all like, okay, we need to like stick together. Yeah, what helps is if you've lived in a different country and you experience a different, because so many people in America, which blows me away because they said 95% of all Americans are going to go on a vacation this summer. I'm like, holy crap. But I've known so many people that have never even left a county they live in. You know, they live an entire lifetime in one spot. And the only information they have on how things are is through national or through news or media, social media. That's their perception of the world, which is often very wrong. Because I can go to Louisiana right now and I can go out into the bayou and I can walk up some Cajun. And I guarantee you I could strike up a conversation with them, sit down and have a beer, and there would be not a problem in the world. You know, or any place in this country. I could walk up to any Muslim and sit down and say, how's it going? We're not going to have a beer because they're not allowed to drink. We can't smoke a cigarette because you can't smoke. And, you know, but we can sit down and eat some kind of weird freaking Muslim pastry and have a conversation. People in general want to be nice. They want to be good. Everybody's kid was somebody's baby at one point. We're not born bad. We're taught bad. Kids aren't born racist.
Oh, well, the race, yeah, I agree with that. But another subject, I believe that there are some people born in this world that are just born bad. I'm sorry. I've been a cop too long.
The Omen.
There you go.
Only the Omen, but that's not real. I don't think I can think of a baby that has bad intentions.
Well, not bad. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm totally jaded there. I've just seen so much innate evil.
But that was something they were taught or learned along the way
But
somewhere.
sometimes, yeah, but I don't know that's always the case, man. I mean, I don't know. I've personally dealt with people that came from decent families. Now, I'll grant you, there's a possibility something may have happened in the darkness that I'm not aware of, but by all intents and purposes, they came from decent folks, but did horrible, horrible things. Now, whether it's wiring in their brain that's gone wrong, whether it's, I don't know. I don't pretend to know. But there's just some people I think have gone south, and there's no discernible reason for it.
I don't know. There's got to be a reason. I don't think.
Well, yeah, okay. There's got to be a reason. We just don't know what that reason is. Whether it's
I don't
genetics,
think.
whether it's spirit, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, or just the slippery slope. You know, just get stuck on one thing and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
It's kind of like this conversation.
Kind of, because I have never seen a bad, evil baby. And I'm not a big fan of babies because I think all babies are ugly. When people say, isn't that a cute baby? I'm like, no, that baby's ugly as hell. I have never seen a pretty baby. When I'm talking baby, I mean like 6 months or less. I mean, come on, really? It looks just like you. I'm like, not even close. I'm bald and toothless, maybe. Well, I'm halfway there.
I used to be a huge. That sounds like me.
At the end of this video, I'm gonna put a picture. I'm gonna find it of a pink snake, people. The pink snake that I've seen. It may not be the clearest.
Because I think he was tasting mushrooms when he saw the pink snake.
It's gonna be at the end of the video. There's gonna be a pink snake on there. Trust me. So there's a reason for you to watch this video or just fast forward and go away to the end.
You cannot take a picture of a snake and use a crayon or nothing. Okay.
Absolutely not. This is going to be 100%. Not even attach the article from the Santa Fe newspaper that talks about the rare pink snake out here. Because I could tell in the look in your eyes that like that son of a bitch is crazy as fuck.
Well, is it
make
going
you
to be
get up
right
now,
next
but
to the
pink
pink elephant? Is it going to be right next to the picture of the pink elephant?
Here we go. Yes, there will be a pink elephant there too, just for you, Larry. Dick. You'll see. There'll be a pink snake. Something to talk about.
All right.
Also, you people, thanks to the comments you left on YouTube. Appreciate it. Leave comments on if you're enjoying our banter, just useless talk, or if you want more specific things to talk about. Keep in mind, we're all experts. We know 100% what we're talking about, and everything we say is the gospel, and you need to follow it. And Ike's cult is open for business, except for one person. Ike's cult is open. Come join. Come join.
I can't join. He won't let me join.
I need your credit card.
Yeah.
And don't forget to buy Larry's book. It's a good book. Other than that, anything else to go?
No, I think we pissed off enough people today.
Yeah, that's our goal in life. It's just, like I said, some people are going to love us, some people are going to hate us. You leave a comment, we may listen, we may not. I don't care. Make sure you tune in, listen. Please watch the show. Please like and subscribe. I hate saying that, but because I shouldn't have to say it. If you like it, you're going to subscribe. If you don't, well, don't. Bugger off, it's like somebody in England would say.
Oh, sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is, but I see him occasionally. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris. And Gary. Don't forget Gary. He's over there, too.
Chris, do you still have that yellow Triumph motorcycle? That's what I'm curious about. I haven't seen any pictures.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it.
And Randy, I don't know if he rides a motorcycle or not. If you don't, you probably should.
No, you mean Gary. Gary's a train.
I mean, yeah, not Randy. Gary. I was thinking Rancid Channel.
Yeah. He drives trains. He's an engineer.
Yeah, I've seen his train pictures. He also sent us an extensive collection of pictures from a museum, a maritime museum.
Yes. Yes, very cool. Very cool. Very cool.
He sits and restores old brass helmets, and I'm like, damn. Anyway, again, this show is over. I said goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, Larry.